Good afternoon, everybody. It is February 9, 2025, Sunday, and I'm going to read a petition that Richard Moore, USAGSA, on his Substack, distributed. It's entitled An Urgent Petition for President Trump and Attorney General Bondi. Before I get into it, please hit the thumbs up. It helps get the message out there, fights those algorithms, etc. And if you want to support the channel, we always accept little donations, but if, for all the people that can't afford anything, just listen to the sponsored messages. Sometimes there's one or two at the beginning, there might be one at the end, and you can just kind of play it at the background, usually 30 seconds. But anyway, so who are targets? Me, you, and everyone. They target people for land, they target men, they target women, they target you for your neural rights, experimentation, your louche, your energy. They target you for rituals. It's satanic ritual abuse. It is mind control. They target children and animals. They steal your intellectual property, your pets, your farm animals, your livelihood, your trees, your plants, your shrubs, your food, etc. Targeted people experience it all. And from what I understand, we're the test subjects, literally the test subjects. We're being experimented on, poisoned, aerosols. Overnight, something must have flown over my house to deposit more of what it appears to be that kerosene bubbly mold. I'll post a photo of it so you can see exactly what it looks like. And please, it's not worm castings for all the losers that get on my channel and say it's worm castings. I know what the difference is. So just remember, I'm powerful, you're powerful, and we are powerful together. And they are cowards. They can't show their faces, right? So here's the article, An Urgent Petition for President Trump and Attorney General Bondi. The unhinged, lawless, weaponized government program of community orienting policing. And again, we have to chip away at these programs a little at a time. And at the community level, it's the easiest way, because our criminal neighbors are committing felony crimes. So this is dated February 9, 2025. Richard Moore, President, USAGSA, and he's writing to the Honorable Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, at the White House. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20500, and the Honorable Pamela Bondi, Attorney General of the United States, U.S. Department of Justice, 950 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20530. Now, I'm going to add, because I'm going to take Richard's letter, and I'm going to tailor it to my needs. And I'm going to send it to Tulsi Gabbard about targeting women in the United States here. So I'm going to read to you. Let me just pull it up here. I gathered her contact information. So it is Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20500. And she's got a phone number, 202 456-1111. So now here we go. Dear President Trump and Attorney General Bondi, I am writing on behalf of myself and other concerned citizens to respectfully request your immediate and decisive intervention regarding what we believe are serious constitutional and civil rights infringements arising from certain community-oriented policing programs. Although these programs may have been developed to foster positive relationships between law enforcement and communities, they appear in practice to operate as rogue structures within minimal oversight, resulting in grave violations of individual liberties. The scope of harm. Hundreds of thousands of Americans, including veterans, senior citizens, and single parents, report being targeted, harassed, and systemically marginalized, often leading to unemployment, bankruptcy, and the breakdown of family units. Many are subjected to continuous psychological torment, including pervasive surveillance and intimidation. Tragically, some have ended their own lives after enduring these unrelenting pressures. So you know that when I write this, rewrite it, I'm going to provide some examples. Number 2, harassment and retaliation. When victims seek help or try to file a complaint, they are frequently dismissed or ignored by the same agencies orchestrating the harassment. Local, state, and federal law enforcement entities, including the Department of Justice and my favorite Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, have been reported to minimize or disregard these allegations. Instead of receiving constitutional due process and protection, victims find no meaningful recourse. Furthermore, community members who participate in these initiatives often exhibit complete malice and disregard towards targeted individuals, aided by a system of denial seemingly embedded in their training. Law enforcement grants these participants free rein to commit acts of harassment unchecked, effectively bypassing standard legal protections. Number 3, the erosion of the judicial process. Beyond individual harm, these programs have undermined our judicial process, circumventing standard legal procedures and depriving victims of any impartial venue to address their grievances. This extrajudicial harassment, sanctioned or overlooked by local, state, and occasionally federal agencies, constitutes serious crimes against humanity carried out under the color of authority. This blatant disregard for constitutional rights and human dignity diminishes public trust in the rule of law. Number 4, constitutional and civil liberties at stake. The reported practices violate multiple constitutional protections, including the First Amendment right to criticize governmental overreach without fear of reprisal, the Fourth Amendment guarantee against unreasonable searches and seizures, the 14th Amendment right to due process and equal protection under the law. While community policing deteriorates into organized harassment backed by official or quasi-official agencies, it fosters a quote-unquote mob mentality that can isolate targeted individuals and destroy their credibility, health, and livelihoods. And I will add, their property and animals. Number 5, a request for immediate action. In light of these devastating and widespread abuses, we call upon you to take extreme and urgent measures to restore constitutional safeguards and protect American citizens. And I'm getting jabbed right now in the foot. I guess the criminals don't like what I'm saying. Too bad. You're going down. I'm telling you, you're all going down. Especially that person that's deteriorating my property. Karma's going to get you. Oh, and by the way, it just came to me that somebody's male child is going to be targeted. Whomever is targeting me's got a male child. Watch out. Male child. The Department of Justice investigation. We strongly urge the DOJ's Civil Rights Division to launch a comprehensive pattern of practice investigation into local, state, and federal agencies misapplying community-orienting policing initiatives. If systemic abuses are discovered, we request immediate remedial actions, including consent decrees, policy overhauls, and other legal remedies. Enhanced federal oversight and guidance. We request that the DOJ, which is the Department of Justice, and the White House establish robust oversight mechanisms for community policing grants and programs, enforcing mandatory reporting, transparent data usage, and a clear complaints handling protocol. And I'm going to add a balance sheet of money, gift cards, gifts, benefits that these community policing criminal neighbors are receiving. We want transparency. So it's not just about the mandatory reporting, the usage of data, the clear complaint handling protocol. We want financial transparency also. These measures must be enforced immediately to prevent further abuses of power. And next up is protection for whistleblowers and victims. We implore federal authorities to offer strong whistleblower protections that encourage both officials and private citizens to expose wrongdoing. There needs to be a secure private framework featuring safe forums and hotlines that can ensure that victims' reports of misconduct are taken seriously and properly investigated. Number 6, the importance of extreme and timely intervention. The targeting, harassment, and potentially life-threatening conditions endured by numerous individuals across this country reflect a fundamental breakdown of constitutional protections. Community policing can be beneficial if it's practiced ethically and transparently, but absent immediate federal interventions, these programs risk solidifying into entrenched systems of organized torment and intimidation. Now, I'm going to add that they have turned into revenge for hire, organized crime networks. The stakes are exceptionally high and extreme, yet lawful corrective steps are urgently needed to halt these human rights violations. In conclusion, thank you for considering the urgency of this matter. We believe that prompt federal action is imperative to ensure that community-oriented policing fulfills its intended purpose rather than undermining the very rights and freedoms it is meant to protect. We stand ready to provide further documentation, including sworn affidavits, witness statements, and other evidence that substantiates this claim. Respectfully submitted, Richard Moore, on behalf of USAGSA, We the People. And I'm going to say outright, Richard, I will sign a sworn affidavit. I will provide a witness statement. I will provide all the evidence in the world against every one of the perpetrators that I'm aware of, including public officials. You've got my vote. You've got my signature. I will sign an affidavit about what's going on here in Jackson County, Kentucky. I'll also sign an affidavit against the Manalapan Police Department, and to demonstrate that they placed me on a list calling me a terror threat for walking on my driveway. That's right, it's in writing. Can't make this stuff up. But so, this is Richard Moore, USAGSA. This is an urgent petition for President Trump and Attorney General Bondi, and I will add that we need to contact Tulsi Gabbard, because she, this is allegedly, I mean, this is what I've heard, she's going to be posing really important questions as Director of National Intelligence to the FBI, particularly. And we want information, we want updated information on the watch list. The last person that actually did this was the ACLU back in 2016. They compiled a wonderful PDF that you can locate online and also on my channel called Trapped in a Black Box: Growing Terrorism Watch Listing and Everyday Policing. It was based on a FOIA request of the FBI in 2006 to 2008. Meanwhile, the FBI did not provide everything that was requested of them. So in 2016, the ACLU published a stellar accounting of the watch list. And I just want to give you a little hint that they have multiple lists. Lists within lists. Some of them are secret. One was called a secret hit list. I don't know, guys. That sounds a little mafioso to me, doesn't it? And then, when you FOIA request them, they say we can't confirm or deny that you're on a list in the name of national security. And then when you FOIA request them, okay, I figure, okay, they don't want to give me the information on me particularly, but I'm sure they have statistics per state. So I FOIA requested the FBI. I said, you know, I would just like a breakdown by percentage of men and women, their ages per state. You don't need to disclose their names or cities. I just want to know how many people are watch listed per state. How many are men? How many are women? Oh, and I wanted the age ranges. I wanted the ages of these watch listed people. And I get a response back that they cannot provide this information to me. Why not? Why do they keep unalive? Why do they keep people who don't exist anymore on those lists? Why? So they can bloat the list for money, for profit? Oh, or perhaps it's because their community agents have already stolen identifying information so they could sell. They can traffic light it. Like after my mother passed away, they stole her driver's license out of her wallet and then poured some substance in her gas tank, knowing that I inherited her car. Or how about the fact that my master's degree was stolen? My New Jersey license plate, checks out of my mailbox, identifying information, invoices, bills. This has to stop. And we need to bring these critical issues to the attention of this new administration, because if your neighbors are being paid to snoop in your mailbox and steal your mail, they're going to do it. Oh yeah, they're going to drive 40 minutes to your witness who's going to appear in court the next day and threaten that person in writing, utilizing the same wording that's on the heading of the county lawyer's complaint form. No, you don't make this stuff up, people. People will do some people will do anything for money. Some people will do anything to get on somebody's good side. And some people will do the bidding of anyone who's in a higher position than them. Oh yeah, they want to associate with them too. You like my neighbor who keeps saying, oh, my son-in-law is the sheriff. Lie, lie, lie. Can't make this stuff up. So anyway, yes, so I want Tulsi Gabbard to get an update from my favorite Bureau of Instigation. I want to know, per state, how many people are on that list. I want to know what the percentage is, men to women. I want to know their ages, why they're there, why they're on the list, and what is, please define, a non-investigative subject. I want to know. I think that we can ask Tulsi Gabbard to inquire upon these intelligence agencies this information. And also, while I'm on my rant here, I want to read you a press release from October 2012. I'm not going to read it all. This is the U.S. Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations of Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. This was by John Hart and Tara Andringa. Immediate press release. Investigative report criticizes the Counter T, you know what that is, reporting waste at state and local intelligence fusion centers. This is 2012. A 2-year bipartisan investigation by the U.S. Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigation has found that the Department of Homeland Security efforts to engage in state and local intelligence fusion centers has not yielded significant useful information to support the federal counter-T intelligence efforts. It's troubling that the very fusion centers that was designed to share information in post 9/11 would have become part of the problem. Instead of strengthening our counter-T efforts, they have too often wasted money and stepped on American civil liberties, said Senator Tom Coburn, the subcommittee's ranking member who initiated the investigation. So I say that Tulsi Gabbard needs to reinvestigate the fusion centers. October 2012, we need an update. We need an update. The investigation determined that senior DHS officials were aware of the program and hampering its effective counter-T work with the fusion centers, but it did not always inform Congress of the issues, nor did they ensure that the problems were fixed in any timely manner. Unfortunately, DHS has resisted oversight of these centers. Oh, I can't imagine why. The department opted to not inform Congress or the public of the serious problems plaguing their fusion centers and broader intelligence efforts. Whenever they were inquired, they argued that they were protected by privilege. It was too sensitive to share this information, and they were protected by confidentiality agreements. Or the information didn't exist at all. The American people deserve better. I hope this report will help generate the reforms that will help keep our country safe, Dr. Coburn said. And I think we should forward this report to Tulsi Gabbard, and it needs to be updated. 2012 is a long time ago. Fusion centers may provide valuable services in fields other than the T, such as maybe contribution to traditional criminal investigations, public safety, or disaster response and recovery efforts. This investigation focused on the federal return from investing in state and local fusion centers using the counter-T objectives established by law and DHS. The report recommends that Congress clarifies the purpose of fusion centers and link their funding only to their performance. Now again, this is 2012. The Department of Homeland Security estimates that it spent between $289 million and $1.4 billion in public funds to support state and local fusion centers since 2003. Oh, I guarantee it's way, way more than that, because at the time of this report, there were only 70 fusion centers. Now there are 80, and some of them are private. They're privately funded. They're private, meaning that you can't FOIA request these critters. The investigation found that the DHS intelligence officers assigned to the state and local fusion centers produced intelligence of uneven quality, often shoddy, rarely timely, and sometimes endangering citizens' civil liberties and Privacy Act protections, and occasionally taken from already published public sources that are are often than not related to the T. The investigation also found that DHS did not effectively monitor how federal funds provided to state and local fusion centers were used to strengthen federal counter-T efforts. A review of the expenditures of only 5 centers found that federal funds were used to purchase dozens of flat-screen TVs, 2 sport utility vehicles, cell phone tracking devices, and other surveillance equipment unrelated to the analytical mission of an intelligence center. Their mission is not to do active or covert collection of intelligence. Fusion centers making these questionable expenditures lack the basic must-have intelligence capabilities, according to DHS assessments. With more than $16 trillion of national debt and $1 trillion in annual deficit, of course, this is old information, Congress has a duty to the American people to ensure that every dollar we're spending, particularly those spent on national priorities like the Counter T, is spent wisely and effectively. The full report is available at the subcommittee's website, and I will spell it out. I'm not going to put it in anywhere. http://www.hsgac.senate.gov/subcommittees/investigations. So this is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. I just read the investigative report that criticizes the Counter T reporting waste at state and local intelligence fusion centers. I've been saying this, for years. Get rid of fusion centers. We do not need fusion centers, or give them something else to do. We certainly don't need 80. We only have 50 states. We don't need 80 fusion centers. So I think that I'm going to forward this little piece of paperwork when I write to Tulsi Gabbard. If anybody wants a copy of this, I just read it. I've got it, but it's in my Google Drive. It's called, and you could find the PDF online. This is what it's called. It's called Press Release on Fusion Report Waste of Money 100312 PDF. I'm going to sign off for now. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. It helps the channel grow. Remember, I'm powerful. You are powerful. We are powerful together, and they're cowards, and they're being exposed one little loser criminal at a time.